My name's Jonathan Sherwood. I'm a chainsaw carver, so I make large format pieces of sculpture generally out of wood. I mainly use chainsaws, as the profession suggests, but I go down to sort of power tools and things like that. I generally steer away from chisels. So I mainly do figurative sculptures, mainly sort of native wildlife. I also do sort of more architectural pieces. I've done some bits for Harrogate Theatre, sort of little window details. That's about as small as I would generally go. Little trophies, and then I've done sort of big 12, 20 foot beech trees, wildlife scenes and things like that. Human figures, wizards, interactive sculptures that kind of, you drum on them and it's kind of like a musical instrument, seats, all sorts of pieces really. Yeah, this piece here is going to a church in Dacre Banks, so it's going to be part of a seat. It was going to be made on site, but the tree was quite rotten inside, so I'm making the cross separately and then I'll be sort of dovetailing it in. You have to have some sort of knowledge of being able to join wood, what's going to structurally be okay, is the piece going to be in a public place? Is it going to be accessible to kids? Are they going to try and, climb on something? If I'm making a red kite, for example, often tail need to be added on. I'd say probably 90% of my work's done on site. 80% is in private gardens and things like that, and then there's sort of some public places. And then if it's a freestanding piece or any, maybe it's a small owl or a hare or something like that, then I'll basically get wood from local tree surgeons, the wood that's being taken down. So this piece of cedar was just felled 2 days ago because it had dropped 27 branches over the past 2 years basically, and it had taken out someone's conservatory and it was basically deemed dangerous. It nearly killed a family. The wood was basically going to be turned into firewood and mulch, so rather than just obliterating it, a piece of it's going to be kept on. These are sort of few and far between, these kind of pieces. Most of the work, like I say, is sort of wildlife. It might be commemorative in some way, it might have some significance to someone. They've got a particular affinity for a particular animal or something like that. That's generally the pieces that I make. I generally like anything new. A lot of people go onto my sort of social media accounts and website and they see pieces that I've made before, and it's sort of, oh, I like that, I'd like that. What's really nice is when somebody wants something that's totally out of the box, or they sort of just put a bit of trust in me to say, we want you to create something along the lines of this, come up with something. I've never made a Celtic cross before, so this piece is exciting. It's got its own challenges. Anything new, anything that poses a bit of a challenge basically. I probably, the thing I probably make most of is owls, because it's repeating the same form. I get the enjoyment basically out of trying to make them as each one better than the last one basically. So just trying to push myself each time, incrementally, to make them look more and more like the owl. A bit of a family business, a bit of a family endeavour. So my dad and brother and uncle live over Manchester way, and they all do carving now. My dad was the first one, that was about 12 years ago now, and then my brother and uncle started doing it, and I saw what they were doing and I thought, I can do that. My dad showed me how to make my first owl, and then I saved up for my first chainsaw basically, and then started carving in with an electric chainsaw in my mum's garage, and then I've basically gone from there. Sort of saved up and bought my first petrol chainsaw. This was when I was sort of 17, something like that. I've always had the vision of what I want to create, and what I've done over the past 11 years is develop the skills to translate that vision into reality, basically. I love going around and seeing pieces that I've made, You know, particularly when they've been looked after well by the client and they've been kept regularly oiled. You know, driving around and going, oh, I made that, you know, and oh, I made that one, and things like that. That's really nice. I donated a piece at the very start of my carving career to for the Queen's Jubilee in the Valley Gardens in Harrogate. And unfortunately, the council seemingly don't have the budget to maintain their pieces or anything that's created. So it's basically left to rot. You know, it's a natural product. If kept well, if kept treated well, then it'll last decades. But if neglected, then like anything, it'll just crumble away. Currently work 3 days a week carving and 4 days a week at an engineering firm in Knaresborough. So I'm hoping basically to get down to 3 days a week of engineering, 2 days a week of carving, of commission carving, and then hopefully finding a day a week to have a bit more of a play. I've got lots of ideas for things that I'd like to make. You know, I'd like to do some combinations of materials. I've got a degree in materials engineering, so I've got an interest in materials. So I'd like to combine steel work in with maybe, you know, in with the carvings and things like that. Finding the time to have that creative freedom is a struggle. So other than spotting it here, there and everywhere, then you can find my work mainly on Facebook. So if you search for Sherwood Carving on Facebook, or if you search for Sherwood Carving in Google, my website will come up and you can see the sort of pieces that I've made in the past. And I'd just like to thank you for coming down and seeing what I do, and hope to see you in the future.